Okay, it's about 10 o'clock Saturday morning, November 2nd. We had record high heat in Miami, Florida yesterday, 90 degrees, or was it 91? Highest November temperature ever recorded. So things are getting warmer. It's going to maybe be a record high again today. Would have liked to start a little earlier, but I got called that I might need to come in to work, and but that got canceled. So I'm going to do not a really long walk today, a route that I've ridden on a bicycle many times, but never ever tried to walk it. It's kind of some neat spots. Got a new pair of shoes, and they're hopefully not going to give me blisters like my other pair. And we'll see. This is somewhere between 12 and 15 miles. So here we go. The frequent drill of mowing lawns is underway here on Saturday. And of course, they've left plenty of room for cars and trucks to get by. No problem. But I just don't know why people have to have such big lawns. I do a little bit of lawn, but I'm not a lawn guy. I did too much mowing of lawns when I was a kid at no pay as part of my chores. So I always said I didn't want to have a lawn if I ever had a house. And I have not mowed a lawn ever at my house. Headed past the Ludlam Trail and headed eastbound, mostly eastbound today, a little bit south. I guess maybe southeast would be a better way to describe it. And it would be nice to walk on the Ludlam Trail. Hopefully that's coming. Headed down 69th Court here. Big lot, didn't have a dedicated road easement on the left, so it's a one-way road. Peacock is out in the middle. We got a highway patrol airplane circling overhead, trying to, as part of a speeding trap. And I guess that house is for sale. Kind of neat looking rock cladding. Lots of trees, very shady. Nice old South Miami neighborhood. And seems like every walk I take I see peacocks. Helicopters, and it's a noisy town. That little cut through there leads across the Ludlam Trail, one of the few places other than a street you can get through. And there's a pair of peacocks here. Very still, not much of a breeze, but not supposed to rain today. And so I did not bring a raincoat. I did not bring my reflective vest. I'm just gonna walk. specks everywhere. There's like 4 and right around in there. Okay, and then we do have the occasional flamingo in Miami. This is a area where there's some people that have done solar panels, which is great. South Miami was the first city in the United States to require that all new houses have solar photovoltaic panels. I don't know if there's any exceptions or if they require them for major remodelings, but very forward-thinking city council, I think, in my opinion. Mayor Phil Stoddard, who's a professor at Florida International University, and a number of his colleagues on the city commission. And look at that big spider on the wall there. I know this house up ahead has got a whole rainwater collection system and solar panel system, so pretty cool. And of course drives a Tesla. I don't think he charges it with his solar panels though. Here's one of those signs. That is indicating that, I don't know, something to do with sea level rise. So maybe 7.5 feet above sea level, something like that. There's some scary flamingos, skeleton flamingos. One thing I'm noticing, a lot of metal roofs in South Miami. Did a roof study of different types of roof, clay, cement and clay tile, shingle, built up, and metal is the only thing that really can survive a hurricane intact. And definitely in terms of the long-term payback, it's 40 years plus life expectancy for a metal roof. So that was, I know I actually did a study using the building records of South Miami as a guide to see how often different types of roofs got replaced going back, I don't know, about 25 years. And in my opinion, the worst is the tile, at least in South Florida. Long ago, I worked for a time in the Shell station over there. Back when Allen owned it, it was Allen's Shell. And right here, we're coming up to US 1 and the Underline, which is a very long mixed-use trail underneath the Metro Rail guideway. I'm going to try and cross over here. Again, this is one of those few places that has a pedestrian signal to cross US 1. So I got to cross here, wait for the light. Or maybe not wait for the light. Fuchs Park here, old rock quarry, borrow pit for road fill or something. Has become a park. Very nice. Lots of birds now. So I see ducks, but they're either egrets or ibis, and I should know the difference, but I don't know the difference. So let's kind of walk through there. Let me see all the birds up close. Kind of a neat old rock shelter. A little canal here. Somewhere along the east side of this canal, long ago. Look at that big blue iguana. Yeah, see that guy? He's ready to jump in the water, I guess. And long ago, there was a lady named Carla who had a son named Grant who lived along the banks of this canal, and one afternoon, early evening, the gardener was planting some bushes and using a pickaxe and hit her gas line, and they had to evacuate the whole neighborhood because there were clouds of natural gas spewing into the atmosphere. So you can see the limestone walls of this canal, and we're going to be walking kind of near Snapper Creek Canal. Lots of iguanas, look at them. They're like prehistoric. Okay, so I hope there's an outlet to the street. I think it goes to the park, and I can cut through the park. There's the canal right over there with houses on the other side. Oh yeah, there's a way out of here. Good. So this is the backside of Dante Fascell Park, and Dante Fascell was a congressman, and I went to elementary school with his son, and I know he passed away at a young age, maybe a result of a car crash or something. Very sad, but Dante Fascell used to have Labor Day picnics here in this park, I'm pretty sure, every Labor Day for his constituents. We have like like a tennis center over there. And the canal was over there. I remember having a picnic with my daughter over there, pavilion number 2, when she was probably 4 or 5 years old, a long time ago, probably more than 20 years ago now. And it's like people been exercising, maybe doing yoga or something. Oh, some kind of stretch bands. Anyway, nice little park. And a comment about the lady up ahead. High school yearbook photo of one of the clubs I was in, or one of the organizations. I was sitting, my head in the crotch of the lady up there. A nice rubberized walking and running track. Very nice, very nice. Very nice running track. I'm going to jump the fence here because I don't want to go the long way. So this is the new bridge across the Red Road, across the Snapper Creek Canal for Red Road. And when I was a little kid, before that bridge was built, there was an old wooden bridge, and I think some of the bulkheads are still left from that bridge. I have to go look. That was very kind of, I know my mom was always worried it was a really narrow bridge, maybe even just one lane at a time to cross the canal. And this is the Snapper Creek Canal. And along this canal, up ahead, is parrot jungle. And I'm not going to go by that today. I should say my feet feel so much better than my long walk last week. These shoes are infinitely more comfortable. I thought that my other shoes were comfortable until I put these on. Lots of room for the toes to wiggle around. They're lighter, but still well cushioned. So I'm a happy camper. Don't think I'm going to get any blisters today. Also use some kind of lubricant between my toes. I'll have to get the name of that, but it seems to be working well. One of these lots, maybe not this one, probably where this house is now, was the Barrons, B-E-R-R-I-N. They were friends of my dad, and I know there's a lake in their backyard, and I kind of stepped over a big shelf. Even though I knew how to swim, I felt like I was going to drown because I wasn't expecting to take a step and immediately be in really deep water. And then my first job ever was delivering flowers at age 13. I was the runner who would deliver flowers on the holiday for Bobby, their son, and made a little money at age 13 doing that. So, Snapper Creek, nice, well-wooded neighborhood, but not very high above sea level. The other side of the canal, you can see the canal bank there, limestone. I think that bridge is somewhere up ahead. Yes. I think that rock wall might have been part of the remnant of it, but can't be sure. No, that looks like a new wall. I'll keep looking. But it was somewhere around here. But it probably would have been on a through street. I see some concrete over here. No, that's a tree. don't know where that bridge was. I saw a pillar. I saw a pillar on the other side of those vines. I see some concrete in the walls over there, and I saw a pillar, so I'm pretty sure that was it. Unfortunately, it's really overgrown right near there, so that's where the bridge was. An old light pole there, and maybe not an old light pole, but I think that's where it was, the old wooden bridge. So, on the other side of that bank, right on top of the concrete board form, right there is a limestone coral rock pillar. That was the one of the western bridge railing columns. So, yep, that's where it was for sure. Okay, so here we go into what is now a dog park. It used to be the nursery for Coral Gables, where they grew all the plant materials for the city, right-of-ways and parks and things. But this is now a dog park. What a great idea. No real amenities, but the dogs like it. This was a shortcut for us when we were kids to get to Matheson Hammock. South Florida, we have a lot of vines, invasive kind of vines that take over forests. Actually, lots and lots of different exotic plants that take over those high things that look like sugar cane, or we call it maiden cane, and that's an invasive that spreads like weeds. And so I know we're coming up to an area with that we call the forest trails when we were little, still may be called that, but it had a big problem with vines overgrowing the hammock canopy and damaging the trees. And every now and then they try and clear it out, but it's a lot of work, very difficult. So I think that's the groundkeeper's house over there. And entrance to the dog park. There's probably a gate somewhere around here. Have to see. And I think, yeah, this was built in the 20s. Part of George Merrick's beautiful city, Coral Gables. And coral rock structure. Yeah, no vehicles inside here. I'm going to go down that way straight ahead. I think that's the route. So it certainly doesn't look obvious from a distance that this leads somewhere else, and I think this is it. Some milkweed for the butterflies right there. This is it. See the vines, how they're taking over the trees? It's a big problem. I'm trying to clear it out. And there's all sorts of like little paths back in through here. This is like a straight shot road, I'm pretty sure. And although it's grown over a lot since the last time I was here, but then there's little side paths. And there's, you might want to call them sinkholes, but solution holes, sinkholes where the tannic acid from the leaves of the trees creates a kind of little, it pools up and dissolves the limestone and eats away at the rock and creates little mini lakes for fishes and frogs and other creatures. And I remember coming through here as a Cub Scout, and I think there's actually some kind of scout camp nearby, and falling and splitting open my knee. Well, let's just look down the trail a little bit here. So this is an urban forest trail. I guess this is rough terrain. You could have fooled me though. Oh, and I guess they identify the trees. That's a, I don't know what that is. Looks like a pigeon plum, maybe. So maybe it is rough terrain if you're walking with a cane or something, for sure. A lot of tripping hazards. Like I almost fell right there. I don't hear any birds though, really. Kind of sad. There's a papaya right there. Some baby papaya up in the top. There's a big kind of coral mound, and look, a little tiny cave underneath that rock shelf. See, the rock has been shifted slightly, but yeah, I remember there was a couple little caves. I don't know how much you could call them caves, but a little shelter, rock shelter, naturally occurring around in this thing. So this is great that this is still here. Even though it's not really pristine, but they're trying. And another hill of rock. Anyway, this thing winds around pretty nicely. See the natural, this is the natural, the way it looked, a hammock, pretty much. It's not in perfect shape, but it's not bad. And you see how there's not a lot of topsoil, just limestone outcropping. And we're going to go through the exit, because we've got lots to walk today. Another one of those little caves. Mountain lions in there. Well, maybe not mountain lions, but Florida panthers or something. Who knows? Tree fall there. A lot of trees got blown over from the hurricanes over the years. And I should say one thing, I hope I don't jinx it, but here in South Florida on November 2nd, no mosquitoes, which is quite remarkable. I brought my DEET spray, but I haven't had to use it, thank goodness. And no mosquitoes is a blessing in South Florida. So, yeah, I'm definitely turned around. I'm going to have to go to my last resort, which is check my compass, see which way it's going. Okay, so I definitely want to go east, which is slightly left. So I'm going to have to bear left whenever I can to get back to the road. So that looks like that might have worked, but not sure. So thank you, viewers, for watching me get lost. Of course, this whole thing is only probably about 30 acres, so can't get too far off. I hear human beings. It's a good sign that I may not be lost forever. Pumpkin. In the middle of the forest, a pumpkin. Yes, I am. Lots of car noises now. Wow. This is not at all where I thought I was going to end up, but it'll work. This is a little marker for Matheson Hammock, probably from the 1930s. Maybe it was a guardhouse or something. Don't know. But we're getting very close to Matheson Hammock Park here. See if I can cross safely. I hope so. Well, we're gonna check out Matheson Hammock Park. I hope this isn't flooded. I do not want to get my feet wet. It's all downhill too. From the high coral ridge here down to the mangrove swamps. So, if I'm lucky, it's low tide, and I'll be able to get through here without getting wet. But this bike path, probably built in the 60s, by the 80s, was flooding regularly under even normal tides. So this is definitely an example of what I say is a sign of sea level rise, and that this path became unusable within 20 years. after construction. Although it's still here, and I'm using it today, so I guess it's all depends on what your definition of unusable is. Mangroves to the left of me, mangoes to the right. Here I am. And to the left of me is Gables Estates. Gables Estates, very pricey real estate that has access to the bay, which are canals, land that was created by dredging up the mangroves in the 50s and 60s, as was done in many places in Florida. So I had to get out on the road. I did manage to get my left foot pretty muddy. My new shoes. But it's a interesting old path. It did get impassable in the middle there. Just I don't know, 3 or 4 inches of water. It's not terrible, but it's enough to soak my shoes, which considering I'm not even halfway done yet, I don't think I want to do that. So anyway, beautiful day. It is hot, but lots of shade, so I'm doing okay. And the shoes are very comfortable. Matheson Hammock Marina. Here we are. Oh, and good boating day because there's not much wind. That makes for a good boating. Smooth waters, comfortable ride, going fast. Not good for sailing though. I guess that is the downside. And sailing's more fun. I guess I could get some refreshment at the fuel dock if I so desired, but I think I will pass. Cuban coffee, oh, that sounds good. So, I got my Cuban coffee, a double shot. And I had a little chat with the mayor of Pinecrest, who I've met a number of times, and nice guy. He's out on the boat today. Smart people are out on the boat if they can, because the weather is really nice. Let's go over and see if the sailing operation doesn't seem very active. That's where they usually operate. They may be inside the trailer, but I actually don't see any sailboats, so maybe they're no longer operating. That's a shame. Used to be Castle Harbor Sailing. So this is the east end of the bike path through the mangroves, and it's got 2 or 3 inches of mud in it, so I think I'm going to pass. The bike path is flooded, but it is high tide. Being tailed by a red Mini Cooper, so I wonder if that's an official fire vehicle, the red Mini Cooper. Mangrove prop roots. Lots of baby fish in there. So I'm pretty sure this pond here is man-made, but this would have been the kind of area with the ridge beyond that there would have been freshwater springs. So this might have been a little brackish tidal pond or something like that. But anyway, this is the 1930s WPA, Works Projects Administration Park, one of the oldest parks in Miami-Dade County, Matheson Hammock Park, and picnic shelter over there. I remember when I was a little laddie, we had many family events over here. Very nice. Crocodiles and alligators, double threat. Favorite venue for wedding photographers. Looks like someone is getting their photo taken. some newer park shelters, and they look like they're completely biodegradable with wood shingles and very little metal, so that's kind of interesting. Maybe the Parks Department is trying to get away from asphalt shingles. Neat. In a big recycle trash bag. So what does it say? Renovation, shelters renovation. So this is the new entrance to Fairchild Tropical Garden, named after David Fairchild, who traveled the world and brought in all kinds of plants from all over the world, both food plants and ornamental plants, and very nice park. And the legacy of David Fairchild. So in the 70s, this was my polling place here. The maintenance shed for Fairchild Tropical Gardens was where I came to cast my vote in various elections. I remember that. Not a very, I guess it's an unusual polling place. Tractor shed. Right there is where I normally go in and out of the forest trail that I was on earlier. So that's the parking lot for the trail if you come by car. Big strangler fig. Some big trees around here. I think that might be a lysoloma. Not sure. This is the pergola from David Fairchild. Frequently they have art installations in there. Chihuly glass exhibition was here. That was very popular. And very nice place to visit. But I think I'll wait until it's a little cooler. I think this is where the Fairchild volunteers and members park. This is the original entrance, which is about a couple hundred yards away from the new entrance. And over here is the caretaker's house of the garden. Somebody lived here for many decades to safeguard it against vandals. And it's a very nice, this is the back side of the garden here, so kind of see, this is the grand vista out to towards the bay, way down there, so you can see. Looks like set up for some kind of party. So this is a continuation of the old Cutler Trail that I walked down to Black Point on. Guess the yellow dashed line in the middle is a giveaway. So this is one of the main trails. This particular section, apparently about 10 miles long. I think I'm coming up on mile 9 right now. Feel really good, even though it's hot, but definitely the right shoes certainly help. And I'm looking for the pedestrian crossing up ahead. Long ago, my friend Curtis Miller lived down that way, and his dad had a sliding glass door and window company, Miller Industries, and I think I used them for the windows and sliding doors in my house when I built my house in 1990. So here's the pedestrian crossing and bike crossing that I'm going to go across. So this is a beautiful, beautiful area. I think it's, I don't know what it's called. A bunch of lakes around here. Very low lying though. Probably not terrible, but not as high as a lot of other areas of Miami, so certainly threatened somewhat by flooding. But just really pretty. And shady, thank goodness. You can kind of see the lake off in the distance there over the shrubs. Looks like a bicycling enthusiast, or maybe not. Maybe it's a warning to bicyclists. I'm going to cross over the canal here. You can see this area, a lot of this is not very high above the water table. So about half a mile that way is Pinecrest Gardens, which is the old parrot jungle site. Really nice city park. And there used to be a nice juice stand there. Not anymore though. But we're going to go back northbound towards back home rather than any further south. Some cypress trees growing along the bank here. Sorry about the trash, but those things sticking up are cypress knees. You may already know that, but those are the cypress knees sticking up. Some cypress trees that haven't lost their leaves yet, even though they're a deciduous tree and it's getting to be winter. Yeah, winter, 90 degrees today. So we're walking through the village of Pinecrest now. Ran into the mayor of Pinecrest, who I've worked with a little bit on some bicycle planning for Pinecrest and some other things. But Pinecrest Elementary was built probably around 1952, and I went there, as did my 4 younger brothers, all for 6 years, and really had an amazing faculty at the time. Probably still pretty good, if not great, but I was lucky to have a good head start on my education from there. I think probably most of what I accomplished academically is attributable to the good head start that I got at Pinecrest. That's Herney's Wayside Garden and Florist Shop. I think I got some wedding flowers. The wedding bouquet for one of my marriages came from there, from Herney's. And some friend Bonnie used to work there, Bonnie Bradford. And they've been there for 60 years, I would say. Looking for that bridge, and then I'm going to go over and get some juice. Look at those iguanas. So I decided to skip the juice bar, which is a real sacrifice, but I'm going to locate this bridge instead. I thought it was right near the juice bar, but it's been about a quarter mile up the road here, so for me to double back, I don't think I'm going to do it. But there's the water line that was near what I saw. So let's see if we find the bridge up ahead. Right near 96th Street. So somewhere between 96th and maybe 95th, something like that. Aha! See a bridge column. And these big Australian pines, I think, were here originally. And so that is one of the bridge pilasters right there. Maybe the other is buried and got knocked over underneath there. But that's where the only bridge that crossed Snapper Creek Canal was. So we have crossed the road. We're headed west on 94th Street, which I see is not a through street. So we'll probably have to double over to 92nd Street to go further. But meanwhile, we'll go this way for a while. Pinecrest we're in. One of the kids I went to school with lived here. This was Sean Pauley's house, and her father, Charles Pauley, was an architect, very talented architect that I'm sure did not have Spanish barrel tile or S-tile roof on his home. Those were added, but at least the house is still here. Can't say the same for the 2 houses I grew up in. They're both gone. Anyway, keep on walking. That's a big house. Wow. Portofundo. Portuondo? Yeah, I think I met that guy a couple weeks ago. And Hollowed Homes. Okay. Portuondo. Yeah, he does houses. He's doing some houses in Coconut Grove. Little detour back south here. Not a through street, and doesn't go north. There used to be a dirt road that would cut across to 92nd Avenue, but that's now a private road, and can't get through there anymore. So I have to double back a block or so to 95th or 96th Street. Oh, happy, shady street, 96th Street. Very shady, very happy, because it's like 1 o'clock and very hot. Very nice street. A lot of cars there. There was a burst of cars, but it's quieted down. I'm headed westbound towards Ludlam Road, which I've traveled many times, and probably cut over to 92nd in a few more blocks once I see it's no longer so shady. Very nice and peaceful, except for the sound of air conditioners humming away in the 90-degree heat. Little oak trees become big oak trees. This was not a shady street when I was growing up, but they planted trees and now it's very, very nice. And thank you. Probably around 1966, maybe 65, the school bus used to drive past this house, and in the side, next to the garage there was this long, skinny trailer with a fin on the back end of it. I always wondered what that was, and then one day in the Pinecrest library I found a magazine called Soaring, and it showed that there were these glider things that went in trailers, long, skinny trailers with a fin, and I thought that was really cool. So first glider trailer I ever saw was probably at about 10 years old. I never saw the glider inside it, but I think later on I bought a sailboat from that guy, a Finn, single-handed Olympic racer. So that was pretty cool. Coming up to Ludlam Road and 92nd Avenue, 92nd Street rather, and see those high-rise, those are I think office buildings though. Yeah, those are office towers. Or a hotel, the Marriott. Yeah, Dateland Marriott. So headed further west and then back north to go home. But I'm going to stop and see my friend Mike. The news is that Marie has gone and the house is empty and for sale. And I will miss them. I have fond memories of the Mina bird in the back by the pool. We used to wait to carpool to school in their pool patio area in the mornings. And I wish them well, all of them. Lynn, Joe, Lisa, the 3 daughters and Marie. And Jack has passed away, but he was a great guy. I remember he used to want us to punch him in the stomach because he was very fit. And he said it would not hurt him. We could punch him as hard as we wanted. I think we were always afraid to punch him, though. So the artist of this was?
Yeah, Don Seiler.
Don Seiler. He worked in concrete. And did he mold it? Did he hand trowel it?
No, actually, he has a phenomenal embouchure under all of his sculptures. More beautiful than the sculptures and incredibly perfect and detailed and symmetrical. My mother says the crime was putting concrete over his embouchures because his work was so beautiful. But this was supposed to be the gravestone for a friend of his who was a famous big Bahamian guy who used to make these huge pots of grouper soup, head soup. And I think they couldn't afford to move it or transport it or something, so we ended up getting it.
Very nice, very nice. Very, very nice. Okay, Mike, thank you very much.
Cheers,
Good to see you. Take care.
On.
So on the home stretch now, I'd say 2 miles to get back home. Had a brief rest stop. Cameled up with the platypus bladder and my electrolyte water, and looked up the name because Mike was interested in the electrolyte water. It's called Hydrolyte, little powder that I add to the water, give me some electrolytes, and I'm sweating out, and I feel good. Shoes especially are very good. In concrete block masonry. Highly skilled. Block work seems pretty good. I've seen some very bad block work. That looks pretty good. Okay, 2 minutes to 3, and back in my own neighborhood. This is the middle street of the block that I don't normally gun down, and I just saw a jogger go by, but he had like kids on, so I don't know how far he's going in flat-footed kids, but I guess maybe they're no worse than my Skeechers were. Boy, oh boy, these shoes. These are Ultra, I think, trims, something like that. They're big and wide, and I'm sold. Worth the money for comfortable shoes. Okay, so it's 4 minutes after 3, and I don't have the official tally yet. It says 27,314 steps, which, according to this, which is not accurate, I'll check the GPS tracker as soon as I can, but this says 14 miles. So actually that's about what I expected. And in 5 hours, and I had a couple stops, probably 10 to 15 minutes each. So made it back. It's a lot easier doing 14 miles than 30. That's for sure.